Okay, let's start. I think still participants are joining. That's why I just try to give some time for them. But anyway, they can continue joining with us. So good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to Sri Lanka Microsoft Power Platform and AI Meetup. This is our second meetup. So thank you for joining. I know that we have been doing all these meetups at Microsoft and some other places with various type of giveaway items, refreshments, but unfortunately we have no way of giving anything now. I was trying to get some exam vouchers, but unfortunately I couldn't get those things done on time. But with the next meetup, we'll be able to distribute some exam vouchers as giveaways. Okay, so which means that you need to make sure that you join with our next meetups as well. Right. Couple of things I need to announce before we start the sessions. The first thing is you have no way of asking question using audio channel, but Q&A panel is open whether you are using a browser or a Teams client. You should see a Q&A icon on your right hand side if I'm not mistaken. So click on it and then you have to type your name and then you can start asking question. But I'll be moderating both sessions. I'm not going to disturb speakers while they're doing the session. So let them do the session. And at the end, we'll be spending about 15 to 20 minutes max for answering your questions. So I'll be going through question. I'll be picking questions. So don't get upset. Like if your question has not been selected, we are trying our best to answer all the question. But if the question needs a detailed answer, we'll not be able to spend time on it. But once this video is published in YouTube, we'll be adding all the answers for unanswered questions. Okay, let me introduce our two speakers. I believe that slide can be seen by everyone. So we have Prabhat Fonseca. He was an MVP and he was working with us in Sri Lanka. Now he's in Australia. He's a solution architect. He has, if I'm not mistaken, 15 to 18 years IT experience. He has been doing various type of implementation. We used to call him as a SharePoint guy. So I don't know whether still he's with SharePoint, but I know that he has been doing a lot of implementation using Power Platform. So thank you very much, Prabhat, joining with us today and sharing your knowledge. He's going to do the first session, and the second session is a well famous person in Sri Lanka community plus all other communities. He's from Fikri Ismail, and he's also MVP, and he's running his own company now, Peach IT, and he's giving services on software development, specifically on .NET platform and Power Platform. So I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not going to spend much time and talk about them. They will do the interactive part. I believe that they have their own slide. Of course, they shared their slides, but I had no way of adding those slides because those two slides are not matching each other. So Prabhat and Fikri, you have to go through your own slides and introduce yourself. Right. Okay. So that's how we are going to do. Let's start with Prabhat's session. Prabhat, I'm going to share your screen now. And again, participants, thank you very much for joining. As I told you, if you have any question, please add the question to QA section, and we'll try our best to answer all your questions. So just to give you an idea about two sessions. First one, we are going to focus on how to build a website using Power Platform. Okay, so Prabhat will be explaining, demonstrating most of the things related to that topic. And at the end, what we expect is the knowledge how to use Power Platform for building websites. Actually, he will be using something called Power Portal, if I'm not mistaken. So the Fikri will be showing something similar, but it is not exactly a website. He'll be showing us how to build an application. So he'll be showing us how to connect with the database, how to configure with various forms, how to navigate through these forms, how to make sure that data is added, edited, deleted, things like that. So these two are really good sessions. Whether you are a beginner or experienced person, I'm sure that these two guys will give something really valuable for us. Okay, Prabhat, I'm going to share your screen. Over to you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening to you. And it's nighttime here for me, but I'm more than happy to take Dinesh's request and do a community session with you because it's something that I really enjoy even when I was in Sri Lanka. And a bit about me. Currently, I work for a company called 5P in Melbourne, working as a solution architect and mainly working on a modern workplace solutions. So simply talking about what modern workplace is, it includes Teams, building custom applications for Teams, SharePoint, Power Apps, Power Automate, simply most of the services that you see in the Office 365 platform. So those are the areas that I work on, including Azure, because there is no way of building an enterprise application without the use of Azure with Office 365. Nowadays, that's something really important. So that's enough about me, and let me jump into the session. So I'm not going to use a slide deck. What I'm going to do is simply take you through the portal or else Power Apps and basically it's a demonstration. And talking about what I'm going to do today and why and how it's going to important to you is let me explain that. So I'm going to create a public website without writing a single line of code. So in modern days, what Microsoft says is, or how Microsoft address them is, address the users who do such kind of work is the citizen developers, or else power users, more than power users, the citizen developers. So you're not basically a hardcore developer, you're not considering building a website, you're not writing CSS, you're not writing HTML, and you don't have to write backend code. But without doing any of those, how do you build a web application? Not a simple web application. It could be including complex logic, complex authentication, storing data, storing documents, and restricting access to certain areas, and integrating different authentication providers like Azure Authentication, then Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. So that's the kind of stuff that we are talking about. Looking into a business use or business use of such a website. Let's say you work for a company and you work with your partners, and you would like to share reports with your partners, and you would like to provide authentication. So for partner A, when they log in, they see a certain set of data, and when the partner B logs into the same site and same page, they see something different. So there are a lot of use cases or as business scenarios that I can talk about considering the use of such an application. But once I start and building it, you will clearly understand what I'm talking about. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not gonna just create a site because I only got 45 minutes, and I'm not gonna create a full story or a full website end to end for you. What I'm gonna do is take you through a journey of building a website with real life business scenarios, but that is not something that I can do within 45 minutes. So what I'm planning to do is basically take you through this journey step by step, starting today. I hope all of you agree with me. So what you can see in my screen is one of the demo tenants that I use for application development purposes. And I encourage you to create an Office 365 dev environment for yourself. So initially it is a dev environment. Once you create it, it won't cost you a single penny. It's for development purposes. You get 25 license. Simply you can use it for your development purposes. So it is initially valid for a 3 months time, and you can extend it after every 3 months time, right? So if you create it for yourself, I'm more than happy to take you through this journey. So what you can do is you can build this application or build this website with me and do the exact steps and see how it works and get the real hands-on experience. Right. Without further ado, I will jump into the application. Now I'm in my Office 365 environment, and as you can see, the office.com, right? So what I will do is I will click on Power Apps. Now, talking about a little brief into what the Power Platform is, or even including Power Apps, Microsoft released a tool or a service called Flow, then Power Apps, and later Power BI. So those services. And a few years back, what they did was they included a lot more services into this platform and named it as the Power Platform. And within this Power Platform, you get all these rich services with starting Power Apps, Power Automate, which was formerly known as Flow, Power BI, then AI-based applications as well, and Common Data Service, Common Data Model, a lot more services. So I'm not going to talk about those, but let's, I'm already in the Power Apps environment, which is the low-code, no-code solution for building business applications. So this is the Power App portal to create applications. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to create any Canvas apps or model-driven apps. What I'm focusing is creating a web application or a website. So I go to create, and here you will see portal from blank. By any chance, if you have Dynamics 365 licenses, you will see more options here. You will see customer self-service portal, partner portal, employees self-service portal, community portal. So all those different types of portals. But for that, you need Dynamics 365 license. So if you look into the history of this approach, this Power App or Power Portal is driven through, or else it's the next stage of these Dynamics customer-facing web applications or web portals. So what you need to do is to create a website. You click on this portal from blank, and you give a name, right? So let me call it Power Portal. Then what you need to do is you need to give a unique name here, right? So because this is globally unique, as you can see, it gets added to the powerappsportals.com domain, and your website name will appear here, or the address that you, unique address that you give appears here, right? So let me just enter something, and what I can do is I can click create. But the thing is, based on the environment, as you can see, you have reached the maximum limit of portals on this environment. So what exactly do they mean by environment, right? I will show you, but let's assume it's in a new environment. Then I get the option to create portal from blank. So looking into what environment is and how these Power Portals work, behind this Power Portal, there is a, I won't call it a database, but a service to manage entities, which is called as Common Data Service. So this Common Data Service is built on three main, let's say, storages. One is SQL Server, then the Cosmos DB, and Azure Storage or Azure Blobs, right? So on top of these three three storages, Microsoft built the Common Data Service. So in Common Data Service, what you do is, or what you see is basically something called as entities. And in these entities, you can store data. Entity is more like a table, right, with fields. So let's look into what it is and how it works. But prior to that, let's jump into what an environment is. So I'm in my admin panel for Microsoft 365 Admin Center. I will click on Power Apps just to take you through this journey. But this has changed. Now you can see in my Microsoft 365 environment, considering Power Apps, I have two environments currently, right? So simply to explain what is an environment, within an environment, all the database related information is stored within an environment. And as you can see, there are some primary information or settings for an environment. So you can see the type of the environment, right? Which is, one is default and the other one is production. And the region where exactly this environment is. So let's say your Office 365 environment is in Asia, but Office 365 tenant runs in Asian region, but your Power Apps or Power Platforms environment could exist in US or Australia or any other location. So if I try to click on this new environment, I get the new experience for Power Platform Admin Center. So I have these two environments. So if I need to create a new environment, this is what I need to do. I give a name, and this is where it asks for what the type is. I can select whether it's a sandbox, production, or a trial. So if I create a trial environment, I can only create trial portals here. In a production, I can take my portal through a journey, which I will explain next, and I can decide the region and create the database environment. So database is the common data service where all the configurations and the data related to my portal will be stored within this common data service. All right, I'm not going to create any of those right now because those are time consuming stuff, but I've already created a site for you in my default environment. So looking into the journey of basically the life cycle of a portal. So once you create a portal, which is the Power Apps portal, it creates a trial portal for you. What you can do is you can work in that environment for 30 days and you can promote it to a production portal if you are making it public and allowing public access. If you do not do that, it will go to a suspend mode, and after 7 days time, it will expire, right? So when it is at trial stage, you can promote it to a production. So now looking into my environment, so I will just go into this environment and show you. So these are the details, database version, security groups, blah, blah, blah. But what I want to show you here is opening the environment. So I've opened my environment. So this is what you see, but I'm going to explain what this is next. And at the same time, let's go and create my Power App, right? Portal. So what I did was I created this portal a few hours back. So because it could take probably starting from few minutes to probably an hour to create a portal initially, right? The reason is there's a lot of information that is created and a lot of entities, as I mentioned, that are created here. So first of all, I have created this. Now I get the option to edit this, browse this, share, and look into the settings and details. So first of all, let me take you to browse and show you how it looks. So this is the default site. Once I create a blank site from the portal, this is how it looks. It already has a template, the default template, and it already has a simple navigation, right? And some pages, for example, services, right? And these portals, all right, I forgot the word what I was gonna say, but let me edit this portal and show you. So this is the default site, right? And this is the home page. Now you can see there are, if you look into the left hand tabs, you have the pages tab, you have components, you have themes and templates. So these themes was deployed recently by Microsoft, recently in the sense several months back. Now if you click on pages, you can see there is a hierarchy. So home, services, and you see the services navigation here. So you build the navigation based on the hierarchy that you create here. All right. So what I was going to tell earlier is about Bootstrap. So it is Bootstrap 3.3 that is used in this website. So it is simply mobile friendly as well, but you get access to all the CSS underlying. Do not change it. Do not try to upgrade it by yourself. It is not a recommended approach. Here it is. So this is the structure. Now, if I take you through these pages, which appears by default, which is created by default. So you can see it gives a proper navigation, some sample text, a breadcrumb, logo, about us, search, sign in, all these rich components out of the box. So if I click on this product page, you can see there is an image. You have the text description about this page, and even you can click on sign in, and already Azure AD is integrated. You can add your username and password. So imagine building a website with all these features without writing a single line of code. Now, let's say simply you want to change this and change the logo, right? So once you click on this, you can see it is selected, and you can see it's called as image. So what it means is, if you click on these components, there are a certain set of components that comes by default. You have a text component, image component, iframe, form, list, and a breadcrumb. Also, added to that, you can change the layout of the page that you are working on. So if you want to add a 2-column or a 3-column section, you can simply drag and drop and add it to the page. So let me show you quickly changing a few stuff. For example, let's say you want to change this image, and I will upload this. Oops, it's taking, okay, its image is a bit too big, but I managed to set it right. And let's say you want to see how it's going to look. What you need to do here, so this is very important, ladies and gentlemen. So on the top right hand corner, you can see there is this browse website button. I will click on this. So what it does is it will not just open the website in a new tab, but it will also clear the cache for you, right? Unfortunately, it did not do it. It is supposed to do that, but unfortunately, it did not do it this time. So I believe my page is saved. Let me change the text here. So if you see here, you can see there is no save button. So the way it works is, as you tab out from whatever the component you are in, it will automatically save it. So let me try again. All right, image did not go very well, but the text has changed. So could be the image is already cached. And let me show you it's responsive. All right, so it's that simple to change text and components here. So let's go ahead and I will add a new page here. So we have these product A, product B. All right, so the same way, let's add a new page. I will click on Pages tab, and under Services, add a child page. Oops, did I click on the wrong place? So it added a page and it is already saved as well, right? So what I need to do is, now you can see on the right hand side, you get the option to give a page name, right? So let me name this as product C. Now I tab out and you can see it's saving. So by this time, don't try to change the URL because your change will not persist until it is saved. So you can give a friendly name here. See? Done. Now, the other thing that you can see here is under formatting, it has already selected a page template. And these are all the other templates that are already available. So you can see there is a template for access denied, default studio template, full page, page with title. Likewise, there are some templates. So you can change the template. That's possible. And you can add new templates as well. But from a business perspective, if you look into this particular scenario, it's mainly, let's say, the citizen developers create these pages, but it could be some other user adding contents into these pages, or content management can be done by somebody else. Basically, adding the pages, adding the images, text can be done by somebody else. And a citizen developer is someone who can create these page templates, which can be reused within the website. So what I will do here is, let's say now you can see there is this text component. Let me delete that. And oops. In here, I can change it to, let's say, 2-column section, right? So let's say into the first column, you want to add a image component, and what you can do is simply upload an image. Let's see whether this works this time. Oops. Okay, so you can see it is asking whether to replace the logo PNG. So the reason for that is it's already uploaded, because as I said, all the configuration and the data is stored in CDS or Common Data Service. I can reuse, it's already uploaded because I already uploaded it with the logo, right? So let me go ahead and simply show you. Where is it? Should appear theoretically. Yep. No worries. Let me upload it, re-upload it. Right. And here, I will add a text component. And right, and below that, I will add another text component. All right, so this should work this time. Let's see. I'll click on browse website. So this is my page. Let me go back to home, and under services, you can see the reason the navigation is already created, right? I will click on this product C and it takes me to my page. I believe there's something wrong with the image that I uploaded. I did not test it. I created that image a little while ago, and unfortunately it is giving a bit of trouble. Right, so now these are the available templates, and for some reason my themes section failed in this particular portal, and I have no clue why it's happening right now. But let's jump into the back end and see how things work behind the scene, right? So I believe you got an idea about creating a page, changing the layouts, adding components, adding pages, and setting the navigation, all that. All right, so let me go back to my Power Apps, keeping this as it is. And my apps. So here for this portal that I created, I have a settings section. I have given a name here, the layer cake. And you can see under advanced options, there is an admin section and a site settings section. So this site settings is just for this particular site only, right? Now, let me start with the website. So you are in a kind of a different environment, but these are the settings for your Power Portal that you just created. Now, you can see on the active websites, you see something called Starter Portal, right? So this is the base component or the base entity, and that is what Starter Portal is the name it has given to my website, website's core entity, right? So what I can do is I can change this. I will change this to Layer Cake Portal, right? And you can see the header templates and more settings that are here. I'm not going to go through each and every setting right now because of the limited time that is available for me. And there is a agenda, not a hidden agenda, though I didn't show it to you, but I'm just gonna stick to the agenda here. And basically this is my website. And you have page templates, right, which I showed you. And we were working on a page called or whatever the product page that we built for product C is based on page with child links. So if you click on this, you can see this page template uses something called a web template. So for certain pages, it uses something or else a web templates behind, right? And this is the other thing that I mainly wanted to show you. You can see the entity name, and it has given a name called ADX webpage underscore webpage. So what this means, I told you when you are creating the environment initially in Power Apps or else Power Apps Portal, it creates a common data service database behind the scene, and it adds a default set of entities into that CDS database, or else CDS entities will be added. So when you try to create a portal, or else when you create a portal, these custom entities will be added to manage your portal, right? Now, let's go through this website section page. We have the page templates. So you can edit these templates as well. You can change whatever the text that are there, that's possible. And you can set redirects. So without writing code, you can set a redirection to a different page or a different section based on the navigation. And you can set site markers, that is more like bookmarks. Then you have the site settings. So this part is really important. But at the same time, let me come to this section later to show you something really interesting, or else show you how to add Facebook authentication. And you have website binding and more settings. And the next thing is content, right? So starting with web templates, Here you can see there are quite a lot of web templates that are there, which has been used in a page template. And you have the web pages. So these are the pages that are there in my site. So this is the page that we created. If I click on this, you can see the parent page, the template that has been used, right? All that information. And the other thing, this web forms, sorry, entity lists and entity forms. So what this means, now assume a scenario, you're managing your partner details. So let's say for your each partner in your company, you have partners. Let's say you have a partner called ABC. And in the ABC company, there are contacts that you manage. And you would like your partner to add these contacts into your website through this portal. What you can do is you can use entities that are in the common data service and create a contact entity and let a partner enter data or else enter contacts into it. So in our journey through this building this portal or building this site, I'm going to take you through all these steps, basically creating custom entities, extending already existing entities that are there in CDS, and create a form to enter data. All that is in the plan, which I'm going to show you. And even so this is basically for data entering forms or for entities, more of a model driven approach. And entity lists, if you want to show a list of entities or the records that are there in an entity, you can use that. And you have a security section, right? So you have contacts, permissions. So this is where you can set restrictions for your website. You can decide whether you are allowing anonymous users to see the whole website or a section of it. So let's say you have some browsable contents, public events, public news. So those are things that you can allow anonymous users to see. But there is some data that you want to restrict to authenticated users. So that is something that you can set from here. And what you see under these contacts is basically, let's say you allow authenticated users to log into your site, and all the registered users will be managed here. You can see that. Not only that, there are some rich functionality available that can be added to your site. You can see you can add ads, you can set a poll, you can add a component or else basically a page which displays a poll in your website. Also, the traffic analysis as well, right? So, sorry, traffic analytics. So all that information is available and is already built into your site without writing a single line of code. So the next thing, so this is basically the site settings. Let's jump into the administration section. Now, this is also some interesting stuff that you get here. Now, the first thing you can see the type of my portal that I just created, and it is in trial. And as you can see, I get 30 days to convert it to a production. And once you convert it, you get more rich functionality here, or else you get the option to set more functionality. For example, now you see the portal URL as layercake.powerappsportal.com, but I cannot set a custom URL right now. But if you convert it to a production portal, you get the option to change this to your custom domain name. You can add your own SSL certificate. So all that functionality is available once you convert it from trial to production. So basically this trial production concept is something that Microsoft promotes in this approach, where you can take your environment or else portal through a journey and take it to a production environment. And not only that, so you can see some portal actions and you can restart your portal if you do a configuration change, and for some reason, if you want to restart it, this is where you can do that. And you can set the custom URL from here. And the other thing that I mainly wanted to show, you can set your site into maintenance mode, right? So once you set it, you can add a custom page, you can add a custom message and set your site to maintenance mode. So you are not taking the whole site down at one go. You are allowing users to log into your site, but making it into a maintenance mode. The users will see that your site is in maintenance mode. And this is the next most important thing that I wanted to show you. Now, Dinesh was talking about me doing SharePoint, but one thing that I want to let you know, myself and Dinesh worked together. That was in 2008. So Dinesh was the one who encouraged me to look into this product SharePoint. Even prior to that, I've used SharePoint a little without knowing what it is, right? So simply, I'm more than happy to say I did not have any experience in SharePoint even prior to that. So this gentleman, I give credit to him putting me into this, or asking me to take this path and take this journey. So what you can do here is, now I believe you know that SharePoint is an environment optimized to handle or else to do document management. So you can store your documents in SharePoint, right? And allow or create an integration between your Power Portal and SharePoint environment to make the documents that are there in SharePoint visible within your Power Portal. So you need to enable this and make a connection. So that is one other thing that is in our journey towards creating a fully functional website. The next thing is allowing the Power BI integration. So you can enable Power BI visualizations as well as embedding a Power BI service. So even for the anonymous users without having Power BI license, so an anonymous user cannot have a Power BI license. So even without having license, you can make Power BI visuals visible for the end user. All right, so I'm running out of time, but let me quickly show you something interesting that is basically integrating Facebook authentication into your site, right? So what I have done here, I created a Facebook app, right? And I created an app, a fresh app, and I added the settings. But as we are running out of time, I will show you how to simply, more than focusing on creating the app in Facebook, how to do the integration and allowing Facebook authentication. So I will go to the settings and you can see there is an app ID. So as I've already configured and I have allowed, not this, basically there is another URL I've configured. But the most important thing here is the app ID. I will copy this app ID. And what I'm going to do is under site settings, this is the authentication section. And I have a page to configure the app ID. I will allow ID here, and I will save this. And the next thing is the secret. So I will make so I'm going to change this app secret once I configure this and after this session, so there is no point of knowing my app secret. So you add this and save it. Let's go into our site and click browse. I will click on this sign in. All right, so this is basically due to the cache, but let me copy this and try to open it in an incognito window. But once you do a configuration change, it takes sometimes 30 seconds to 1 minute for that change to affect. Let's see whether this works now. Oh. All right, it's gonna take more time, but simply what I have to tell you from a configuration perspective in the portal, what you need to do is set the app ID and the app secret, but in our journey towards a fully functional web application, I'm gonna take you through this journey by step, showing you how to create a Facebook app, add the settings, and add this information. One last time before I conclude this session, let me refresh this once again to check whether it's there. Oh, no. All right, it's taking more time, but ladies and gentlemen, I think I've already used my 45 minutes. And what I need to tell you is now I have a plan of building this site to make it a fully business portal, allowing multiple authentication, showing data entry, and different authentication sections, and also integrating with SharePoint and Power BI. But what I would like to ask from you, if you have any suggestions, if you need if you like something special to see in this our journey towards creating this site, make a request in your Q&A section. Feel free to add your thoughts around that, and we will see how we can take it to consideration. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, thanks, Prabhat. I'm sure that Facebook part will work after a couple of minutes, right?
Obviously, they can even try the URL that I showed.
Sure. I know that, like, this is something we always experience when we do sessions. Right, Prabhat, before go for Fikri's one, Fikri, do you mind if I take 3 questions from the list and ask them from Prabhat before we start your session?
Yeah, sure,
okay.
No problem.
Prabhat, one question is they are saying what's the difference between sandbox and trial environments other than the trial which is given for 30 days? So difference between sandbox and trial environments. That's how the question has been formed.
All right, so the trial environment is there are limited functionality available, but in sandbox environment, it's much more similar to the production environment, but it has more functionality available in that.
Okay, okay. Right. There's another question. Can we move the packages or the package web portal project to another CDS in another tenant?
That's a good question, but I don't think it is possible. I have never tried that, and I don't think it is possible. But for Power Apps, you can bundle and deploy a Power App, but I'm not quite sure about Power Portal. I've never tried that, and I'm not in a position to answer that question right now. But probably in the next session, I will check and get back to the user.
Right. Okay. One more question. Can we integrate with this DevOps?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. Okay. So it doesn't work like in a Visual Studio projects.
I think if you can answer that question, is it okay if I answer that question?
Yeah, sure, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, because for Power Apps, I think the version controlling is done within the Power Apps interface itself. So you don't have to go with DevOps, but you can build apps for DevOps using Power Apps.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So because the version, when you save something, it's automatically version controlled. These all these Power Apps applications.
So which mean like through the Power Portal, we can go back to the older version and get it loaded. Okay,
yes, when you try to save it, there is a version control, and then it's added a version, and you can go to each version and execute them if you want.
So when you save it, you have to specifically say that I'm saving a new version, or?
No, it's automatically saves into a new version. You don't have control on it, just automatically save it until you publish it.
Okay, okay, yeah. Right, okay. That's great. Okay, Prabhat, I know that it's 10 o'clock for you, or I don't know whether 9:30 or 10:30. Are you in position to wait till Fikri finishes his session? Because we might get some more question, unless you're sleepy.
No, not at all, not at all. I'm more than happy to stay and answer if there are any other questions. Okay. So, and Dinesh, one other thing that I forgot to answer that that previous question about the different environments. Okay. So it's not only these three types, or basically what do you call the production, trial, and sandbox that you get. So you have the default, trial, and developer. So as I mentioned, it is like you can take your app through a journey and create these different environments for you to test and all that. So sandbox environments are mainly for testing and development purposes.
Okay.
But trial scenario is different, because when you create an environment, by default, it goes to a trial, right? Or else you can select a production environment as well. But the main difference there is trial environments are limited to a 30-day, and it's limited to a single user, right?
Okay, it's limited to single user.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, but the sandbox environment approach is mainly for development and testing purposes, but with more functionality.
Okay, fine. Right. Thanks, Prabhat. So let's move to Fikri. Fikri, I'm going to switch to your video section or the video screen, and let me know when you want to share your screen. Okay. Right. We can see your face now. You are muted. So unmute, please.
Yes. Can you hear me now? Yes. All good, right?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So I will share my screen now. Just my screen, two screen is Power Apps. So it should be visible right now.
No, I have to share. So I'm going to take your screen and share.
Okay. This one.
Yeah, let me see.
The selection.
Build business apps and fast. Okay, so I'm going to share that screen.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's live.
So now let's start with this Power App. I'll just go through with this Power Portal. This is the portal the Power Apps brings you down. This is the home page of Power Apps, and I'm going to talking about some entities on CDS. I think Prabhat mentioned about description of basics. He just went through these entities. So there are two different things. This is the application I'm trying to build. If you look at this application form, if I just play it. So this is the application I'm going to build. This is straightly coming from CS, that Common Data Services, and this is building from the same data, and all these things are built from scratch. And these colors, everything is picked up using functions. So for example, if you are very good at Excel functions like that, it's very easy to build Power Apps. So if I just give you a small demo on this one, if I just apply 2 leaves and I'm going to say sick leave, if you look at just I'll go with casual leave, and then some casual, and then I'll just put some date here. Okay, now if you look at this, you have 9. When you submit it, now it goes back. Now I think it's added. I think it should be minus, right? So it works because it updates for the data. And then let's start to build this application. I'll start with my data. So if you go into the data in this Power Apps home, if you look at this data, you will see entities. This is the part CDS work from. Entities is like, if you are coming from a programming background, you know what entity is. Like if you have worked with entity framework, you have worked with Hibernate, or you have worked with Hibernate, all these things, entity frameworks, it's talk about entities. Like if you're looking at the database point, entities is like a table. And again, if you look at this one, these are all table-like structures. By default, you get everything here. So if you create something, these are by default available for you. If you look at this type, it's a standard, and then it's a custom, and the customs are the one that you have built. You can just filter them down from this filter custom. Now we'll see 2 different entities. If you want a new entity, you just click on this one and start with an entity. For example, I'll just say a movies. This display names, what will look here. And this is the plural name. By default, it's turned into the plural name. That means movie, and you have movies entities. And this is the name given from the Power Apps. And the primary field is like, it's what you're going to look at the first time. So it's not like a primary key field like you looking at on a database or table, but it will just the first one. It will the display first thing on your list, and the name given, and all these settings information for your how should it look like. Just minimize. How should it look like? What are the things you have to do? And then if you go with this, I'll just say display name, or I'll just cancel this one, and I'll go to another, the entity I have created. Yes. Right. This entity I have created, again, all these are, I haven't created these fields. These are coming from by default. So to get your data, you set custom, and then these are the stuff you have created for this transaction file. So I have managed to create 2 entities for this application. That means types of leaves. That means the application you have seen is annual, the casual, and the sick leave. It goes here. And then the leave transactions is like each employee, if they apply for leave, it stores here. Only 2 different entities. If you look at these leave types of leaves, so you can hard code this information on your drop down in Power App. So I normally use a entity for that, because later on, if there's another new type, for example, now you have annual, casual, imagine a maternity leave, then you have to again go back to Power App and modify it. But here, if you have this information, and then all these things are for that entity relationships, then that means this entity by default has relationship with these other entities. Like for example, who created it, and then who created means it's automatically your Office 365 account. So all who modified it and all this information. If you go back again, if you say custom, these are the custom fields you have created, right? It have leave type and a record, and this regarding. So what sort of things these are. Now business rules. I'm not going to talk about this business rule. It's like it will going out of scope. For example, think about you have a text box. It has a field like, okay, you have you have told the your employees you can't take more than 3 casual leaves on a row. That will be a business rule in your company. You can just set up this business rule. So then in your Power Apps, actually this is a problem on this Power Apps. It won't work on Power Apps, but it will work on model apps. I will show you what's a model app, and then it will work nicely on the portals Prabhat showed you to. So it will, if you want to give a company-wide website that they can apply leaves, it will work very nice on these business rules there. I'm not sure why it doesn't work on Power Apps yet, but still you can try these things. And views. So I have created again, if you just go back to your custom, these are the views for types of leaves you can just create. It's like database views. You have different tables, you can create a view here. And I'll just go back and get this entity, and you will see, you go to views. I have a leave history, a view. I have created this view. You can just add and then create a name, and then it's straightforward. You can just select these fields. If you look at this view and go back and edit view, you will give an interface. See, this is the view you have. So you can drag drop tables, you can add columns, you can remove columns, you can just create a view using this browser and go back. This is the view I have created. Or I have created this view for my portal later. Or I can just use this in another Power App page to display this view. And forms, there are default forms. You can just data enter these forms, and then you have dashboards and you have charts. I have created one chart here, and it's a small pie chart here. It will look at like this. So annual sick, this, then you can just at the end of the day you can bind this into your application. And next up is the data you have. So you can see all this data here. It's like a normal data, and then again you can add record, delete records. You just go here, you can just delete few records here. Just click here and delete. So it works fine as well. So it gets, this is the entity on your application, the common data services. The common data services is not only for Power Apps, and you can use, there's an API, a web API. You can even access this information through a React.js application or ASP.NET application, a Node.js application. They have a REST API calls for all this information. You can create, even you can create an interface for entities to create entities, and you can add data. All this can be done through an API. So that's sort of leverage you have on this common data services. And next step on common, when you're using common data services, you have two different apps you can create. The first one is a Canvas app. So, and the second one, the model-driven apps can be only created through common data services and entities. So that's a different scenario. You can just create business processes. Like for example, imagine you have a company process like onboarding process. First, you get the CVs, and then you filter some CVs, and it goes to the next step. And then all these CVs, you start the first interviews, and then you enter some data. And then those kind of business process, you can create these model-driven applications using common data services. That's not in a later session, maybe we can just look at these applications, but the focus is on a Canvas application. You have two different areas to create Canvas applications. Like you start with a blank application, and then you can select a data source. But the problem with you, when you select these things, you can't create a tab application. If you select these things, then it allows only mobile application, like a normal phone application. But I prefer to go with a blank application because it's a blank canvas, and you can do anything you want. You can just design your user interface, and because if you go through these things, you will get a pre-developed one, but you feel like you just like tied down. So I normally prefer to go this route. Start with a Canvas application, and then you can select a phone or tablet. But when you go through selecting a data source, you won't get this option. You will get always a phone application. Then let's try to application name saying, okay, demo app for demo app 1. Then you create it. Right. So when you create this screen, it will take a little bit, a minute or two, or maybe a few seconds, and then it will create you the environment. I'll just skip on. This is the blank canvas you get. So I normally prefer these sort of things because you can just easily manipulate these things. First of all, this is the, like in Visual Studio or any other programming language, think about this is the solution explorer. You have the entire app. This is the application, and then all the, if you are anybody in this audience coming from Visual Basic background, you will understand these things. So all these events on start or on custom exit, you can just select, okay, in the application start, what should happen? So you can just select on start and then write a formula here. I said that's I mentioned about, if you know Excel, it easily you can write formulas here, and all those things you can just do here to the application level. This is the application level. And screen means each screen you create. You can just create multiple screens. You can navigate through these screens. And this is the first screen. For my application, it's just one screen. I've started with my, let's say, leave app screen. So it's better you give some names because later on it will feel you just like organizing, because normally my belief is like when you follow a design pattern rather than, so design patterns are like for, it's good, but still I believe in write code or create code or any other thing that you can maintain. That's my main focus. If you can't maintain an application, even though it doesn't matter whatever the design pattern you follow, right? So make sure you name properly, and then you create these things properly, and then just look at the maintenance of this code. Then first thing we create, then when you try to save this application, let's say I'll just go here, so file save. Let's go back. I'll just say Control S. When you save it, so it says this is okay. Where you should going to save this application, to the cloud or this computer? You can just save it. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to save it here, my demo application, and hit save. When you click save, I'm saving to the cloud. So you will see this is the, I think there's a question asked like what are, how you control version controlling. Is automatically control your versions. Automatically says okay, this is my version with the time. When you share it, it goes to the Power Apps list. When you click on this share, so that means it's in the list. This is how we go to this application. You can just share all these applications. Now I'll go back to my edit screen. Let's start back. Let's override. I think over here. Done. Yeah, skip. Now I'm back to my application. If I Control S again, it automatically saves. Right now I have a blank screen. Let's start with this. Remember, it has 3 circles. When you start a circle, make sure you select this application and then click plus, or you can just go with this menu. You go to this menu and then you can start like anything, icons, customs, anything. You can just download here, text, button, or you can use click, and then you have display, HTML text, layouts, all these things, media, and then shapes. So I go with start with a circle shape. So this is my circle shape. You have the circle, right? In this circle, this is the first step. Now in this circle, I have here, this is my properties. You can just say, okay, I'm going to say annual circle. This is my annual circle. And then if you look at this screen, background colors, you have say plenty of colors. If you look at custom, you will see an information. This is the hex information, and this is RGBA, the red, green, blue, and the alpha. Alpha means transparency. You get this transparency information like this. You can transparent. And so remember this, when you give a color, you have to give this color like this. And I'm gonna add another text box. You have two different text boxes, a text label and a text input. I'm going to choose a text label, and it's on black. I'm going to put it here, right? The first step is, if you look at this data, and if you go to your entities and type of leaves, and you hit data, you have annual, casual, sick. And if you look at these things, you have just the names, right? So if you go to forms, you can just create another form to display this view. For example, I just create a new view. no filter. Let's create a new view here and then give it a name, all info, and create. So you will get add column, and you will see I have an allocated column. See, it has 14, 7. So I need to get this information into this text box. At the moment, I'll just type it as 10 and press enter. I'm going to make a color, a font size maybe 20. So make it visible, or maybe 30. I'll create a color, a font color for this one. Just go back, you click on this white. Now you will see the white color. Now my idea is to get this information. I'll go back to my information where it is. So this information, annual 14, it should be here, right? So it should be here. First step, you have your canvas. Next step is like, now you have to bring the data here. So when you select a application from a data source, it automatically create the data source. Now you have to click on this one, and you have the current environment. I have just selected this is, else you can just select all these entities, connections, and see all connectors. You can see all the connectors you want. So I have select common data services. Then you will get this information here. In the common data services as well, you have see all entities. See, everything is visible on the common data services. I have created leave transaction. This is mine, and this is the type of leaves. I need these two. First, click this one, add leave transactions and type of leaves. Two different data is added to my code. Now next step, how do I bring back this information to this text box, right? It should be 14 here, not just hard-coded text. Now look at here. If you select on any component or anyone, you can have some properties and all the events here. So if you click on this text box, automatically you have this text box. It says text. Text is 10. You can just type anything you want. You can say, okay, 100, whatever it is, it works here, no problem. Now, this is the way I want a data information. I need to bring back my data here. Now let's bring back my data here. It says 10. To bring back my data, just start from, there's a function called lookup, right? Lookup is a function. So when you start, and then by default it suggests my two different entities. Okay, from this lookup, get type of leaves. Let's you start. Now next step, which field I have to look up. So you have different fields. My field is here. If you go back to your, there is my information, it says allocated. It should be inside allocated. And I'm going to say it should be the next step, the condition. What should I look up? It says looking from leave types. See, leave type. So look at from that equals annual. Now which field I have to pick up? It should be allocated. Now when you close the bracket, it automatically goes to the database and it picks up 14. See, so this is how you get done. So when you work with a default template, it automatically done for you, because I prefer this way. Then you will learn something. Now look at this. You have a red. Now again another small label. I'm gonna bring back, add a text label. I'm gonna say it's annual, and I'm gonna resize this like 12. So let's make it 12 and then make it center, and then it automatically aligns to these text boxes, and you select both of them and you move up, automatically it's color. Now it looks nice, right? Again, I'm going to change this color into a white color. See, now you have annual. Now next step is like you just copy paste these things, copy paste, come back here, the next step, and then paste the second one. Right, now I'm going to say casual and sick. Now only thing you have to change is you just click on the 14. If you look at, select 14, and then you go back to your text field and scroll down, text. text field, you will see that lookup, and then only thing you have to change is here to casual. Now automatically it's changed back to 7. See, now let's center it as well. Now it's simple as this. You just go back, text property, it says annual. Now I'm going to say sick. So simple as that, right? Now it's changed into 14. I'm going to center it. Now you have a nice small dashboard kind of thing. Next, you just change the colors. You go back to background colors. You select one color for casual. Oh, it's too bright. Let's change this into a like this, yeah. And this one into another color, maybe a green. Yeah. Now you have 3 different items. Now you just nicely, or maybe you can resize them, or maybe whatever. You can just shift all and then nicely resize. Now you have 3 different things with actual data. Next step. Now we have created this one. Now next step is you've seen a form here, or maybe a grid here, right? Let's create the grid one. So the grid, to create this grid, you have 2 different options. You have inside the gallery, you have vertical, horizontal, flexible size, all these galleries. I'll start with a blank vertical one, right? Blank vertical one, and then is asked for a data type. I have to pick up from leave transaction. That's the start point, because I'm going to display my leave transaction. I click on that, right? Now you have connected the data. Next step, you have to bring back the information, right? Imagine this here in data source you have, I'll just show it to you. In the data source you have data source, leave transaction, and then views. Remember the views I have created. If you look at, go back to your entities. Let's go back to entities. Done entities, and then if you select entities and then leave transactions, I have a view. I had created a view, a custom view, leave history, right? Leave history, you click edit, you see it has a leave date. It has a leave date and then a type and a reason and the number of leaves taken. So I have created this information here. It matches to this entity. Just go back, it matches to my entity. Leave transaction entity, I have created some view. It's like you have a database table and then you have created a view, right? I'm using that view in my application, in my demo application. Here, if you see, you have data source, leave transaction, you have views here, and then you drop down. Oops. You drop down, you will see all your views, active leave, and then this is my leave history view. I click on that. When you click on that, see, it says filter, leave histories, everything, items. This is the item list. So this is how you learn. So look at this filter command. It says get leave transaction table and then my history. And next step, you go edit fields. Oops. Let's bring back this information now. Let's add some text. You got click edit. Now you add everything here, right? This is one way of doing it. But the other way of doing it, like you just delete this information. You start with a vertical gallery, and then you select a leave transaction. Okay, this is my leave transaction. Now it automatically gets this information. And then if you select this view or not, it's up to you. The next step is, now look at this gallery. You click on this gallery and if you look at this part, it's just the layout, image, title and subtitle, right? You drop down it and you get this information. I need this sort of thing. It should be title, subtitle and body. You click on that one. Now it changes to title, that one, right? Now my next information is, I'm just going to double click, edit this information, and then I'm gonna resize these things. Look at these things, resize. I'm gonna add another text box here saying annual. So what sort of leave type is here? First, I'll start with a text label, and then inside it, if you see, all these are duplicated, right? If you type something here inside, I'm going to say ABC and ABC typed here. Now I want to type this one as a text annual, right? For the name, it should be whatever the name, annual or like whatever it is, right? Now let's do like this. I'm gonna say now you click on this one, you go back to your database or the table, or you can just say click here. So it should be what it should be. So let's say I'm going to say the text should be this item dot, and then reason, transaction, and all this information are there. I'm going to say created by, I'm going to say type, leave type. See, now if you click leave type and press enter. Oops, sorry. So this item, let me see what are the table options we have. Reasons, transactions. Let me go back to my table. Fields, leave type, it's there, right? Right, the thing is like this. Now, for example, if you look at this entity, leave type, it says a lookup field. See, it says lookup type. Then when you enter a leave type, it doesn't work like that because it's looking at this entity, type of leaves. So type of leaves has another field called leave type. This is a text field, right? That's the mistake we have done here. We'll go back to demo. That's why when you just say leave type, it will first time it look at the lookup field, leave type. That's why it didn't work here. Then that means from that table, when you click dot again, then you get the leave type. See, now you get annual, sick, all this information. Just go back. I go through it back. So this is how you do that. You just go to your entity. Where is my entity? This is your entity. When you click this entity, edit entity, like I'll just show it to add entity, and then you type some name here, maybe ABC something, and then from this drop down you have to select lookup. See this lookup. You have to select this lookup, and then related entity. You have plenty of entities. You can just do any entity available. Now for my application, I'm going to look at my leave type entity. That's why we haven't, it didn't display. I'm going to close this. Yes, right. That's why it didn't display. That's why you need to go through like this. That's mean this item leave type, right? Now you get this annual information. Now you can just format it. Let me say border or whatever. You can just say, okay, normal, I'm going to say bold, or maybe it should be like 20 or something. Now next step is you need to change this color, right? For example, it should pick up this information. Then the color should pick up one of these objects, right? This is how you do that. You go back to your, for example, you just go back to your, this is text display is done. Now you have another option called, you just go drop down here, and then you go back to color information. See this color, still it says RGBA 00, that means red, green, blue. So if you look at this part, red, oops, sorry, just go to this part and you say red, green, RGB, red, green, blue, and alpha. So 0 means black, 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 right? Now if you want to change this color into something else, you can just say red. See, it changes, or maybe 255, it changes automatically. Everything is red. Now it shouldn't happen, but it should be decide from one of these, right? This is how you do that. You have a function called, another function called if function will be decide. So I'm going to do a small thing. See, it says, oops, it says logical test, true value, and then false value, right? The logical test should be my text. I'm going to say, okay, this item dot my table, not table, my field leave type, okay, and then from that the lookup field leave type, and I'm going to say, okay, if it is annual, say annual, and then the true value should be whatever the value, it should be a RGBA value, right? To get a RGBA value, this is how you get. Now imagine the text boxes now is displaying an error. That means I haven't finished it yet. So look at this one. It says annual circle, and then I'm going to say this one, I'm going to change it to casual circle, and this one sick circle, the name sick circle. You have two different things. If you look at one of these things, you have this color information here, right? This is how you get. For this color information, this one says fill color. Now this is how you start. Go back to your annual, says if this item is annual, and then get from the annual circle. Annual circle, see, autocomplete annual circle, and then the fill color. That's it, right? It says automatically displays a blue. And else get back the sick circle. I'm just sick circle dot fill. When you close it, this is how the if works. See, automatically it's executed. Now you have annual in blue, sick in, and casual is blue. So this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing is there is a switch statement as well. If you go back, put a semicolon, and then I'll just let you experiment on that one. So you can drag this formula bar, and then you go back, enter. You can say switch. See, it's like the switch statement. It works like a switch statement. You can just multiple switch value, match result, then again match value, match result, match value, match result. You can create all these circle. I'll just let you experiment on that. The best part of this is you can just put a semicolon and add more functionality to these things, right? I'll just save it. Why it doesn't work? I'll just put it there, right? Now it has annual, and you can go back annual. If you change this sick color into something else, you go back, and then later on when you just show to a demo, a customer, and then say, okay, don't put green, put something else, or maybe a like a purple color, and then automatically your code works. See, this is, I haven't written any of code, it's just normal functions. Now you have this sick one and all this information. Now, next step is this date. If you look at this date, it says this date format is not good, right? So we have to format this date into a nice format. The first step is to format a date is, again, the text, it says leave date. You have to get this information, and then you can wrap this around with a text function. You can say text, and then you can say comma, and let's say ddmmyy, and close this text, and automatically it formats to a date. See, now you have this. If you want to something add to, like you can say leave date, leave, say double quotes, leave date, and you can just put an ampersand like Visual Basic. It says like that, and then let's turn this font size into like 15, and you will see it, right? Let's go back here, just keep it like this. Now you have this leave date like that. You can use this ampersand, or you can just another function called concatenate. You can use that as well, right? Now this is your information. Now this information says number of leaves taken. See, number of leaves taken 1, 2. You can just format this. It's no problem. You can just format this information and put it there. That's one way of doing it. Now you have understand this is how you do it. Now if you look at this, you have seen I have created a form here. Like when you put a form, and then everything changes. Now let's save this application. To test your application, you can just click here, a play button. Now you will see all this leave information and other information is changed. Let's go back. Okay, now let's delete some information here. I'll go back to my entities. Entities, you have leave, types of leave, not that one. I need transactions. You go back to your data. And I'll delete this, of these records. So you have some data to play with. I'll just keep these 3. And when you come back to your application, you will see it's automatically. Let's refresh. Now, if you see, now I have deleted stuff, it haven't updated yet, right? To update, you go back to your entity data source, you click leave transaction, you have changed this data, you click and refresh. It automatically refreshed, and now you have the data, right? Now let's create the form. To create the form, it's simple. You have forms here. You click the form and then you have two different forms, an edit form and a display form. Edit forms, display forms is, imagine you have creating a, if you click on this annual, it should display a detail of your information, like a detailed page. This is the display. Edit means an existing data edit. If you click on this one, automatically you get your form. It says you haven't got any data yet. It's okay. Now I'll just resize this one, or maybe I'll delete these things. You need this information. I'll just go back and you have your form here. Now still connect to the data. How do you connect it? Here on the properties form one, I'm going to change the name for leave form, and data source should be the transactions, because I'm directly binding to that information. Now if you look at this, automatically you get this information. Now if you look at here, it says 3 columns. That means your form will be 3 columns and vertical layout. I'm going to say 1 column. Now you have a nice little form, right? Now these are like not, so another thing you will see, you don't need time, like you have the leave date, a reason, a number of leaves. Now you need some other fields like your email address and the type of the leaves, right? Currently it picks up only from these things. This is how you change. If you look at this thing, you will see edit fields. You click on these edit fields. Now you have plenty of information. Now currently you have 3. You can just, okay, leave date should be at the bottom. I'm going to say, okay, drag drop at the bottom, it goes to the bottom, right? Now you're going to add another field. See, all your fields are here. I need a field called employee email, that should be there, and my leave time. This is my lookup field. I'm going to add them as well. Now you have this information. Let's see, up, down, right? You have the date and the reason. So now these are like email should be on the top. Let's go back to email and then drag. It should be on the top and it goes back. And these are okay. And the type should be on the second. Let's come back. Now type is on the second, reason. Now it's plain. Nice, right? Now let's work on this form, right? This should be, now you will see it's automatically locked, right? To unlock these things, you can just go back and click on this advanced field, and then you will see this lock here. You click, you can unlock, you can change these things. Currently, at the moment, this says format text. It's a text and it's a single line. You can change these things into a number or any other things, but again, you can say enable spell check visible, and there was another field called, you can just say, you can find out, it says just, you can't type inside it because maybe, let's say I need to get employee email address. If you just play normally, if you go back here, see, this is another problem with the default form. So it says no item to display. This is every time when you put a form, you will face this. This is how you fix this one. Normally a form should be, by default, the form is on edit mode. If you go to your form, let's select back, you go back to Solution Explorer and then you select the leave form, you will see it's on, the default mode is on edit. See, you can just put a drop down, you can say it's a new form. By default, it should be new. See, now it's new. When you go back to your form, you will see the form now. This is how you fix it. Now remember this lookup field, it automatically gets the annual casual C. Now this employee email, you can type an email address, or it's better you give another option to the user. By default, the text should be, this is parent default, not the parent default. It should be like the whoever logged in, his email address. This is how you pick it up. You're gonna say there's a function called user. User, just click here, user brackets and dot. You get the email, see the full name, email. When you say email, Now automatically it goes, it's there. So this is how you just user friendliness you give. So another option you can just, rather than giving this drop down here, you can just select automatically one of these, click one of these buttons, make them buttons, click on them. So you only have to enter the reason and the number of leaves and select the date. That's it, right? You go back to your date, and these are unnecessary fields. You just click here and then unlock it, advance, unlock it, and then delete this. Delete this. Now if you delete this one, you will see an error. If you click on this, that means by default, in the formula bar, it's calculating the height and the width and for the hour value. I'm going to delete this thing. I don't need these things, and go back to this one, edit formula bar, and select date. All this, just keep this information only. Yeah, I don't need this. Now, edit formula bar and delete this separate as well. Right, now you have a nice drop down, another delete, edit, what's that? Yes, delete that. So let's save it. So this is how you do it. Just delete this parent default, that's okay. And there should be another element somewhere, I can't see. So let's bring back that things. So this is how you delete, right? So there should be some element, maybe I missed this one. So it was this colon, that might continue. Don't worry about it. So now you can just, you have the idea, right? Next step is create a button. This is how you create a button. Just insert, you have the button. So this is your button. Maybe I'll put it here, and it should say, the button should say properties and save. So now it's a save button. From the button, you go back on select, what should happen. Now it doesn't, false means it doesn't do anything. It's simple as this. You just go to the button and you have to say, like, simply you have a function called submit form. See, submit form, and automatically suggest what form, leave form. That's it. Now it's automatically, when you enter something, it goes back to your data. So this is how you create. So from scratch we have created this one. It's like, it took me 45 minutes, less than 45 minutes to create this. The formatting is up to you. Formatting is easy. You just go there and then create this information. You just go add some nice, like for example, just create a rectangle. I'm gonna say go back, reorder, send backwards, and then create a nice border here. Right, so you can just select colors if you want. It's all up to you, right? Now you have a nice border, or maybe you can just say another, like another shape, like a circle. So you can say go back, send to backwards, and create a nice little, sorry, so you just say button and then just come with a nice shade, and then so it's in the back, you go say reorder, send to back, it goes all over the back part. See, you can create nice interfaces here. Those kind of stuff you can just create interfaces. You don't have to worry about anything. So even a company logo, see, all these things you can do in the PowerS. So I'll recommend that you start from a scratch. You have the idea, and then if you go to docs.microsoft.com, and you have plenty of options. So if you go to docs.microsoft.com, so if you select Power Platform, I'm not sure whether Microsoft Office 365 Power Platform. See Power Platform, and you have Power Apps. See, go to the documentation. So you can just select from any of these things. You just start from this, what's in Power Apps. You can just go to the documentation. You start, and then you can search for a function. If you don't know a function, maybe a filter function. Just go filter. So use grid filters. So it goes to there. You have this information here. All these Canvas apps information, and their portals, everything is here, right? This is how you start. So I'll just show you my other application. If you go back to, I'll just save it and then I'll close this application, just leave, and you go back to your whole other application, my Power Home, and the leave application form. I have just done something. You go to edit. I'm going to say override. I have done things like I'll just show it to you. So skip. So there was a bug on this application when you just create new leave, it added to the system, right? Remember. So when you just drag here, so this is the mistake. So it says lookup. The same thing I have done, allocated, and then I have created another function called sum. Sum means add, and then I have to add what fields. So filter leave transactions, and then the casual, filter these things, and then add the get these number of leaves first to matching this thing, and then sum. When you go back to this, that's why it added now. So it added when you close these things, or you can just say format text is nicely get formatted, and then you can just go back. So this is how you do. You can just combine functions, and then I have formatted these things. And another thing I have done here on the submit form. So the submit form, it says leave application form submitted, and I have done another thing called here app. So leave application form mode new. Every time application starts up, that means create a new form. So you have a nice application start point, and after button click, I have done another thing called on go to the advanced. You will see on select submit form, and then another one called on success. What should happen? So it should be here success, or maybe it's in the form. So let's select the form, leave application form, data source is okay, and on success it says reset the form. Then it will come back to a reset situation, right? This is how you build an application. Start from the scratch and read the documentation. My advice is that, so every time you read the documentation, the best place is Microsoft this docs. So you don't get any other information, any part of the YouTube or anywhere. So even though you just, I'll create stuff from this. If you go to Canvas app, everything is here. It's step-by-step information, very complete and correct information are there. So some bloggers will be there and then they write information, but still there are missing pieces. Go to this documentation, read the documentation. So if you look at this keyboard Canvas app, and if you just say maybe sum, just search sum, see Canvas app sum, you have every information how to sum. So you have plenty of examples. Slight example you have. So not, you don't need anything else. You read these things. This is how you sum. That means sales table, and how to do this sum like that. So I have created this application, you reading this documentation. So rather than going to get a pre-built application, build it from your scratch, then you will learn things, right? And then what I did was like first get a paper and then write down what you need and draw an interface, like simple interface. And then you have the first, you create the interface, then you will decide what sort of entities you need, and then write down the entities. And then after the entities, you will decide, okay, these entities can be hard coded, for example, like leave type, right? So you don't hard code here, everything should come from a data source. Later on an application, you can change these things, right? Next step is like I have created another one. I'll show it to you on Power BI. On Power BI, this leaves data source. I'll just create this data source from data set. If you look at these data sets, this leaves is from the data, you go CDS. It's coming from CDS, right? If you refresh, you get the data. Now it's coming from data. I just create a small report on that, says leave doesn't like this. It's coming from, that's why you can just use plenty of this ecosystem using data sets. And next step, I've created this data set and I have this Power BI application, and then I have a small portal here, like Prabhat mentioned in the morning in the first session. Where is my portal apps? I have this portal, and then this is the name, simple HRM, and I have opened this portal here. So this is the information coming from If you refresh this one, refresh, it's coming from the data. See, so if you just go back to your application, I'll just go back to my application, this leave form, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna say, okay, I need like 3 leaves from annual. Now annual is 13 and annual leaves, and I'm gonna say it should be from Monday, and then okay, you submit. Now it's submitted. Now it's turned into 10 and it added here. This is annual 3 leaves. I have taken annual leaves. And if you go back to your portal, when you refresh, sit here. It takes some time. Let's see. See, now you have these annual 3 leaves. And then for this one, you know, this because this is not a direct query on Power BI, it should update back and come back here. Now I have selected the portal. I have created a grid here, a view, and this leave history. This is on leave status page of About Us leave status, right? You get this leave status information. Now, if you click on this sign out, you won't see that. You have to sign in. This will be a public face interface. If you are a company like a organization guy, you click on Azure AD. So I'm already logged in. You see the leave status page. You click on it, you get this information. So, see, now you get this information. You can search annual leaves, search, and see, you get the search information. Everything is there. If you click on these things, you can just create a detail page. It will. Let's keep this on our later sessions. So I hope you learned something on this one. For more information, so I'm not like working on this Power BI, but if you go to my YouTube channel, this is my YouTube channel. There are plenty of tutorials here for ASP.NET, React.js. So in future, I might create these Power Apps as well. So different colors means green is for ASP.NET, blue is for React.js, for Apache, MySQL, PHP, it's purple. So I have created some color themes as well. And everything is on English language. So you don't have to worry about learning these things, step-by-step information. So go to my channel and then have a look at this. And this is my LinkedIn. So I think that's it, Dinesh. So you can just take over.
Okay, thanks, Fikri. That's, I think, the detail. That's really good detail session. I believe that all of you have learned, how to create apps like this from Power Platform. Okay, so we have 2 questions, and while we are going through this question, if possible, please scan this image and give your feedback. So feedback is really important for us. What do you think about these 2 sessions, and what do you think about this new online experience specifically for meetups? And we'll be continuing with this type of meetups for next couple of months for sure. So give your feedback, and if you see something has to be enhanced, improved, so let us know. So let me quickly go through those 2 questions. So the first question is, now you use CDS as a store. So the question is, can we use Excel file in SharePoint as the data store?
Yes, you can use Excel file on OneDrive. It should be definitely on OneDrive. And Excel files must be, the table should be named properly. You select and then it should be an insert table. You can't just get sheets. It should be inside tables. You select a
Excel
region.
Table. Right. Okay.
Yeah, Excel table. It should be named, not table 1, table 2, because then those will be used to get this information, those names, like this CDS. And other question was SharePoint list.
What you're saying is it doesn't support SharePoint. It has to be in OneDrive.
No, it should be on OneDrive because that's the one normally it gives. If you select Excel as a data source, it gives only OneDrive, not Excel, not SharePoint. For SharePoint, you have to use SharePoint lists.
Prabhat, do you have any idea whether we can get files from SharePoint and configure it like that?
Dinesh, I've heard it is possible, but I've never tried it. But I've tried what Fikri just mentioned, storing the Excel file in OneDrive. That is possible. I've tried that, but I've never tried with a file in a SharePoint library. But I've heard recently it is possible.
Okay, it might be new.
it should be possible, because generally, if you think about the Power BI, we can actually access OneDrive or SharePoint and connect with these files as sort of live sources. So I'm sure that facility is available with Power Platform as well.
Initially, it was not possible, as Fikri said.
Yeah.
Initially, that was not possible. The only option was to store it in OneDrive. But I recently heard that it is possible, but I don't have any valid sources for that, and I've never tried that. But probably I will give a try and confirm it probably in the next second.
Okay. Right. We have one more question. What are the options available to share Power Apps application with external parties? Like, can we share this with other parties?
External party, you can share with it. Like, if you go to the Power Apps, you have this Power App list on the Power App homepage, and you click on this small 3 dots button, and you have a share option. You can share it with like, normally you can't share it with public. It should be inside your organization or for yourself, because to access Power Apps you need a license, right? Okay. For accessing for third party, like for example, imagine you are creating a survey form for outsiders, then it's better you go for a model app, and then you create through entities and then put it on your portal, and then you can just share it from outsiders.
So, this discussion from me, actually, can I just publish this? No, the earlier question is from a person called Darshana, but I have a question on that. So can we just publish just like a Visual Studio web application?
No, I think that's a license thing, right, Prabhat? So because you need license to access Power Apps as well.
It is true, Fikri, but Dinesh, there are options now. The solution that I showed a little while ago through the Power Portal, you can build something similar, but not to the same extent though. But if your whole intention is capturing data, then it can cater the requirement basically through a entity form to capture the data and store it in CDS.
Yeah, I tried that and it worked, because entity forms acts like Power App, and then it works the business rules as well on portals.
Okay.
You can validate and all those things you can do.
Right. Okay. So that's all we have.
Dinesh,
yes.
Sorry. Now, there was this question earlier related to Power Apps and the CI/CD. Yes. So I've never tried this, but I was just looking into what options are there, and I just found out that there is pre-release documentation, and this solution is in preview as well. It's called Power Apps Build Tools, which you can download from Azure Marketplace and integrate with Azure DevOps, which provides the CI/CD functionality through the app lifecycle up to a certain extent, but the solution is in preview and the documentation also in pre-release.
Right. Okay. So, but we can expect fully fledged functionality or the fully fledged application in near future, right? So
yes.
But at the moment it's controlled through the version controlling is there on Power App portal itself. Yeah, that's it. We have.
Okay. Fine. All right. Okay. So that's all we have. So thank you very much, Fikri and Prabhat. Thank you very much for joining with us and sharing your knowledge. And we'll be having you in this meetup again because we'll be continuing with this journey. And we thought to have this type of online meetups at least for next couple of months until the situation is getting settled. And most probably we'll be having one AI session for the next meetup and another one on Power Automate. So that's what we have considered for next meetup. Right. Thank you very much again. And please make sure that you have given feedback with the given URL, or you just scan the image and go to the small form, fill it, and just let us know what you think about this session. And we'll be publishing this video in YouTube. It will take about 2-3 days. So after that, we'll announce it. We'll share it through all social media, and people who have registered with this session, they will get an email once the video is published. Okay, thank you very much, and have a good day and stay safe.
Okay, thanks guys. Bye bye.
Thanks everyone. See you, Fikri. Thanks, Dinesh.
Bye.